Thank you very much.
Okay. Gentlemen, I just have a couple. I know that this gets very confusing, but I'm trying to, after listening to you, would this statement be correct? In your opinion, both as a lawyer and a law enforcement person, if Long Beach were to adopt an ordinance that required cultivation only in either at the location or certainly inside the city limits, that would be consistent with California law?
It would be consistent if it's off-site of the location, it's within a reasonable distance.
Distance. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that was your opinion. Secondly, I'm really getting tired of this. I really am. You ask for civility, you ask for time. These gentlemen are here volunteering their time, and we're trying to ask on a very difficult issue. So be respectful, please. I really am kind of tired of the little cat calls out there. So just knock it off. Now, if in fact, what you're saying is that it's easier, and let's say worse than that, it's better than that. It's the way to enforce the ordinance to make sure that it's consistent with California law is that you require cultivation on or close to the site within a reasonable distance, because then you can compare the number of patients a collective has versus the number of plants that are grown, which is virtually impossible if it's outside the area.
That's correct.
Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that. Now, finally, in your experience, you mentioned a lot of organized crime and a lot of cartels involved in the cultivation of this. One of my concerns is that this is a very new area for the law. It seems to me that prudence should dictate that what you do is try to narrow the confines. It's very hard to limit conduct after it's already been out. It's much easier to try a smaller area, regulate it sufficiently, and see what things added later. Prudence would dictate that you have a more narrow ordinance than a more broad one in the beginning. At least that's my opinion. And secondly, very concerned about Long Beach becoming, an outlet for organized crime or for cartel products here. That worries me greatly. So, to me, prudent conduct here, and the reason why we're talking about this, is to try to narrow the focus, to regulate this, to see how it operates, to make sure that patients who need this drug get it, but it gets within the confines of the law and within the capabilities of law enforcement. So that's why all this discussion. We can have fun with this, and we can laugh at it and make great statements about. You go out in the street and talk what's going on. That's all I just ask you to do. There are people who are not complying with the law. There are people who are abusing this. You find them all the time. Our law enforcement finds them all the time. We want legitimate people, legitimate businesses, or collectives, not businesses. You're not supposed to sell it. Legitimate collectives that serve a need in the community to be under regulation that they understand and can comply with. That would be, I think, the goal here. We're not going to have a great ordinance, I can tell you that right now. The goal here is to just have an ordinance that's enforceable and is not a disaster down the road. That, to me, is the goal.
Mr. Mayor, I would agree with your statements. I think that the City of Los Angeles is the perfect example of Mayor, I would agree with your statements. I think that the City of Los Angeles is the perfect example of a metropolitan center that didn't try to regulate this issue narrowly initially, and it became a tremendous problem within the city for everyone involved, from the community members to the dispensary operators to law enforcement.
Yeah, I think it does everyone a disservice when that happens. So, Mr. DeLong.
Mr. Mayor.